we were at Spa Hut Falls at Wellsgrave Park,
Mm-hmm.
and I was seeing like the rocks shifting.
Yeah.
Because of the portal there.
Uh-huh.
And then I had that vision of you on the spaceship, and you were standing there and you were doing this, and there was someone standing next to you, and he was an off-worlder, but he was like training you.
Okay.
But it was at the end of your training, like you were just about to go out on your own. But you were like, it's like those virtual screens, like on that movie Minority Report, I think it was, with Tom Cruise from way back when.
Yeah.
And that's, so you were like, and it was a big round area with kind of like, you know that ride at the fair called the Gravitron?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you know how it's like kind of like angled on the sides?
Okay.
That's what the inside looked like.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so it was kind of like a big like bridge or whatever you call it. And that's where you were standing, and the guy was standing next to you, and he was like your mentor, and you were just finishing up your training. And that was when we were at Spa Hut Falls. And when I told you that I had that vision, you were like, oh my God, you're like, I just felt like I did when I was a kid, when I used to go off world. I used to go on the ships, and I got a huge hit on that, and I'm getting another hit right now as I say that. And so that happened when we were at Spa Hut Falls, and it was just shortly after, and that's when I found out that you were a pilot, because I didn't know you were a pilot before that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. Wow.
No, I did not know that, but I knew you were a spaceship pilot, but I didn't know you were an airplane pilot, like in this life. And then shortly after that, I got, my guides kept telling me, you need to go watch a YouTube video. You need to go watch a YouTube video. You need to go watch a YouTube video. And then finally I was like, okay, which one? And they're like, just go open YouTube. So I did, and an Elena Denon one popped up, and I saw it, and I was drawn to it right away. But it was 2 weeks old. And at that time, I wasn't watching anything that was more than a day old, because I'd watched so many videos on everything that I was just like caught up on everything. And so if it was more than a day old, it just wasn't worth my time. But my guide said, no, that's the one. You need to watch that. I was like, okay. So I watched it. And at the very end, she said that she was looking for the pilot for the spaceship. And I was like, oh my God, it's Kate. And I sent you that video. And it was after then that you started channeling Auntie.
Yeah, that was, and when I watched that video too, I had so many body hit, like a full-on psychic body hit, and just goosebumps. And I was just like, yeah, it was a really intense experience with all the synchronicities and that. And they took me up, I think, at Wellsgrave, because I was like, I had that full on, like, ears plugged, like everything goes silent. And it was just like a split second of time was gone. And then it was like, I was brought back in. So they won't let me remember. Not yet, but hopefully I can get the memories. But
I'm getting hits as you're saying it. Like, they just keep coming.
I've been asking, because they just wait. I think that's a contract I made before coming here, is not to remember any of the ship stuff quite yet. So I think it's gonna come in time, but
at the right time.
Yeah. So they're basically, I didn't realize, like, you never explained in detail what you saw, but so they're basically training me like right now. Like, they've been training me for the past few years, but it just is compartmentalized somewhere.
Well, I'm getting huge hits right now as you say that, but I also got the message that your airline pilot training was part of it. Yeah, to operate in this airspace. Yeah. Okay, because I'm supposed to bridge the two worlds in some way or form, right? Like, from our archaic airplanes to these plasma ships. I also just got the message that you're supposed to help airline pilots transition. And so because you've been trained to be an airline pilot, you know how they've been trained, and therefore you can help teach them and transition them.
So that would explain the flight school later down the road that I see. Wow. We're gonna accelerate that fast, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's so hard for me. Like, time almost seems like I'm jumping around timelines and stuff. Like I'm picking up future events, but also like making sense of past events. And it's like, I think they are beaming me off, like up on the ship too. So it's like, I have all of these layers of information coming into my consciousness, but it's so hard to grasp onto linear time because of just everything's kind of all over the place. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because time isn't linear.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, yeah, it's so hard for me to like actually write this out and like, okay, what's the series? How do I explain this to somebody? Like, okay, cool. So then I don't know how long the time, so we saw Elena's video, and then I think I was just meditating, trying to like connect to the ship. I think I was just meditating randomly one day, and then that's when Auntie showed up. I didn't have a specific intention or focus. I just felt this being come to my left, a high frequency being. And I was like, who are you? And I instantly got a psychic flash image of this bunny I had when I was really young that I was obsessed with. And I took it everywhere with me. And I used to talk to it. And I didn't even remember I had this bunny until he sent that image to me. And then I got so emotional, like I started crying, like as I'm meditating. And I just knew, I was like, oh, that was him. Like, and I had that, like that, it just like everything flashed, like came back, all those memories is when I was a kid. And that being I was speaking to that was projecting his consciousness into my bunny was actually real, and that I was never really alone. Like, he's always been there. And so it was, that was, I instantly knew, like he knew exactly what to send me. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started communicating. I'm like, oh, so what's your name? And he said, Auntie Mietra. I think that's how you pronounce it, but he's like, just call me Auntie, because it's like long, complicated names. And then I was like, so where are you from? And he's like, I just got a psychic message that it was Andromedan. So I was like, are you Andromedan? And he said, yes. And then he sent me an image of himself, and he looked like this old Chinaman. I was like, why do you look like a Chinaman? And I didn't realize until later on that some of the Andromedans have like long straight hair and like beady eyes. And then, so that happened. And then when did we make that connection that you were connected to him too?
Pretty much right away. I don't know if it was right away, but it was soon. And I think it was because I felt so much emotion when you started talking about him. Like, I mean, it's weird. This is the first time that I haven't felt it, but usually when we talk about him, especially when we message, because when we message on Facebook Messenger, like I just get so many hits and everything, right? And when we talk on the phone and stuff, and man, the emotion that I had, like the deep, like love that I feel for him is just like, I mean, I felt close to that with one man in my life, but you know, it's still that man who I didn't think I would ever feel emotion anywhere like what I felt for that man. I feel more than that for Auntie, and it's like this, like it's like the love you have for a child. It's totally unconditional and just really, really, really deep, and like just joy. Yeah.
And you don't get that with just some random being. So
no. No.
And then
So,
you always said that you felt like I was a sister, or we had a past life or something. So
yeah.
that like there's a soul connection for sure. And then
Yeah.
your emotional ties to him. And it was just so weird because it's like, wait, you know him too? Like,
I
like all
know.
these
It's like, what?
and it was
Yeah.
just we were like trying to figure this out. We're like, okay, like yeah, obviously we're connected. And when I was a kid, I always had visions of this like other realm. Like I just knew that Earth, like where we were, was so dense and like so I always kind of felt like I came from a future timeline because I'll have these visions of like just light and like floral and plants and beautiful
Yeah.
jungle and like just like a utopia in a way, and everyone's like joyful and light and high
Yeah.
frequency and
As I'm getting huge hits all down my body. And I remember when we were first talking about Auntie and I first had that deep love feeling, and then we connected the dots that he and I know each other, and I'm like, this love is like so intense. And then you got the message that we're husband and wife, and we were some sort of like intergalactic royalty or something. I can't remember how you worded it.
Yeah, well I was talking to him and what he was telling me was that he was in a position like a spiritual leader of some sort, and from what I was gathering he was on one of the councils, and he said that because you always felt like you were Arcturian, like you came from like more like you got hits with the Arcturian,
As I'm
and so
getting right now.
yeah, and so I brought that up to him. I'm like, so did you, like if you were with Julie in a future timeline, was she Arcturian? Like was she and you were Andromedan? Like is that typical for two races to come together? And he's like, no, it's like really rare, but since we were like both in leadership positions, like that was a really powerful union to have. Like sometimes they would do that, they would have one person from each race come together, and have a like a leadership union, if that makes sense. And yeah, and then I got a flash of the pods, like that there's pods on the ship, and like my vessel was right next to your vessel, and so like our avatars are waiting for us on the ship when we leave these avatars. Or like, yeah, we chose to come down here together. Yeah, and that was after he told me, I made the connection that he was like a father to me, like yeah, he was kind of like my father from the future.
And then I kept feeling like your mom, and we confirmed that. And
yeah, like, well, that makes sense.
like, I'm still gonna call you sis though, because it's just strange to call you like
yeah. And so I've been talking to him about the ship and stuff. So like the ship I'm meant to like resurrect, and he's been giving me a little bit of information here and there, but like it took me a long time, and I'm still like I'm channeling, like I'm telepathically communicating with him, and speaking with Alex confirmed that that was accurate connection, because the way I explained it was to the rear and the left of my head. I feel pressure there. That's like, yeah, that's what it feels like to channel or telepathically communicate to a higher dimensional being. But like like I've written out the information he's given me, but there's still like doubts. Like I'm always like doubting it. So I've just like I have pieces of information, and but I'm getting like validations, this like left, right, and center of the information that's coming in. And so I'm excited to like be a bit more confident with presenting it and stuff. But yeah, one thing he did connect me with a being called Ishkla, who is kind of like a guardian of the ship. a female being. I think she's an inner earth being. But she was giving me some information and it was all making sense. And I was talking to her about the ship and connecting with what it looked like. And it was like, I got the crystalline skin of it. Like it was kind of like a marble crystalline skin, spherical ship. And that it was in a slight, she said it's in a slight higher density. And it's like a time capsule I was getting. And she kept hearing the word resurrect the ship. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting word to use. But I was getting all this information come in, and she was saying that there's a few ships, like it's not just one, there's multiple pilots, and there's quite a few ships around the earth that were left here during that time. And all this information I got, like, I think it was 4 months before Elena Danaan started talking about it and sharing that there's these arcs on the earth and this is what they look like. And she was using the exact same keywords that I was giving, like the time capsule, like that it shifts density, that it has a crystalline skin to it. And I was like, oh my God. So if she's getting this information that she's getting from Thorhan, who only just got permission to give that to her now, and I got this like months before, like there must be a connection.
Yeah, as I'm getting full body hits right now. Everything that you said that you're like saying that Elena Danaan was saying, I'm getting, all the hits were going all the way through my body as you were saying that. So confirmations.
And then one day I was like to Auntie, I'm like, can you just like manifest something in the 3D to do with a spaceship? So I kind of know this is like real.
I'm not crazy.
And like within 24 hours, I left my home and I went to town. And the first place I went to was the post office. And I'm behind this lady who has this box that's like, you can kind of see what's inside it. It wasn't fully packaged up. And it had UFO string lights. And I forgot I even asked him that. And then I saw the box and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, oh my God. Like, how fast was that?
Just a little confirmation.
Yeah. So that was good. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm not going crazy. This is real.
Yeah. Like, what are the odds of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. How many people are shipping UFO string lights?
Yeah, totally. It was like UFO in bold letters. So I was like, that it couldn't be any more clear than that.
Well, I remembered having that vision. You were being drawn to water a lot, water, and you were trying to figure out what part of the world, and we kind of nailed down Bermuda area as well. But we were talking about the water, and I got that vision of you using, because you're like, I'm supposed to like use the water in some way and command the water, and I have to make the water do what I want it to do. And I got the vision of that water ramp just like going up to the ship, and that's how you get on it, because it's hovering above the water. Like right now it's below the water, but eventually it's going to be above the water so that people can't board it unless they can use the water, like how you're going to be able to command the water.
Yeah.
To board the ship.
Yeah. And in my seal that I just did with Runa Flash, the codes that I reincarnated into this planet with are the law of water and the law of plant medicine. So I got the laws of water. And I had a past life where I had visions where I was splitting the river into two. I was getting the water to work with me and move.
Yeah.
So
I remember us talking about that. Yeah,
that makes so much sense. And then so like the connection with Bermuda, and so like that there's that large arc that Elena was talking about that was in Bermuda. So I was wondering if there was a connection. Like there's clearly something about Bermuda that I was being drawn to, and this was months before she started talking about that. and I was even thinking about moving to Florida. Remember I was talking about that, and
Yeah.
I felt like I was getting called to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, she was talking about that arc, which her and Dr. Sala were speaking about this man called JP who works for the military, and he was feeding them intel that they were already boarding this arc, and the military was involved and a few different nations. But yeah, I got, yeah, all of them are connected. So
Yeah.
You said that you had a vision of me working with somebody who was on this one, or who was a crew member of this one in Bermuda.
So yeah, so when we spoke, it was recently, I think it was just the other day when you and I were talking, or a week or so ago, because you were asking if you said, I don't think I'm on the main ship. I think I'm on a smaller one. And I got a confirmation on that. And then I got the message that the mentor that I saw in my vision of you, who was standing to your right, that guy is from the main ship. And you are piloting one of the smaller ships, part of the fleet. And he was mentoring you, but he's from the main ship. Right.
Okay. Yeah. That would be the ship that's underneath the Bermuda Triangle, like in the ocean, would you say? That's the main ship? Or because there is the Confederation mothership that is orbiting outside of, is it Pluto or Jupiter? Jupiter right now. And supposedly that Confederation mothership coming into our system was what activated all the ships that were here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm getting a hit on that.
Yeah, and that's what intuitively I was connecting with, is that these are fleet ships from that mothership. That's not even from, like, it's the Intergalactic Confederation. So typically it's outside of this galaxy. And then when I was talking to Auntie about it, I was like, well, if this is a fleet ship from that mothership, then does that mean that back in that past timeline, I was working for the Intergalactic Confederation, and I got a yes with that. So, yeah.
And I just keep hearing different timelines.
Different timelines, yeah.
Like there's.
Yeah, that was when the ship was left here, I think.
It's so strange to think that our idea of time is like totally out to lunch.
Yeah, I know.
It's all we've ever known, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, yeah, that's like, yeah, you guys are so off. Like, you just don't even know.
I know, it's crazy. I'm just like, oh, how am I gonna even like put this in sequence, you know?
Yeah. And I keep getting confirmations, like what you've said, excuse me, that we're from the future.
Yeah, and I felt that as a child. Like, I had a strong feeling like I came from the future. Like, it was just a knowing in me. And I was just like, I don't know. I just remember looking around. I'm like, why is it so dense? Like, why are people in fear? Like, I was just like, where am I?
Yeah.
This is not what I remember.
How did I get here? What is this crap?
But that would make sense in terms of like the Andromedans, because they have time travel technology. So like they have the ability to take their ship and go back to a present or past time. So yeah, it would make sense if that's what we did. We were just like slotted into this timeline. Auntie just dropped us off. It's like, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Take a father and mother.
Go fix some stuff down there. They need help.
Right. And then I kept getting that reoccurring vision of this tropical island and it coming like off the coast, coming up out of the water off the coast. And when I did a remote scan of where it's located, yeah, South Pacific area is what I'm getting, which kind of makes sense because that used to be ancient Lemuria.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, according to Alex, there's pyramids like 200 miles northwest of Easter Island. There's underwater pyramids there. And there's still structures and everything. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome once we get all our memories back.
Dr. Bradley Nelson, the emotion code and body code, when he was meditating when he was, I think it was 18 years old, and he was saying that he just got like just a split second of sort of remembering things, and he said that the feeling of love and everything was just like so intense that he could barely survive it, and he's like, and that's why we don't remember everything, because we can't handle it in this physical form.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that's one reason why they won't let me remember my experiences on the ship, because like Alex, like I wouldn't want to come back down here. Like I know that. Yeah. I'm just like, and I think I contracted to not remember up until a certain point because it would be just too difficult. I'd be struggling back down here because I'd be like, I'd have that contrast now. And I'd be like, what the heck? Like, I don't want to be here.
Well, you haven't wanted to be here since you were a kid because you know there's something else. You just don't know what it is, right? You just know. You just know that there is.
Yeah, but I can at least put up with. Yeah, I could put up with. I think it's really how Alex explains it. I'm like, no, there's like that's why he is kind of like heavy with being here, because it's. Like he knows he's been up there for 3 months. Like he knows the contrast of it, and like that is just so amazing compared to here. And like what he was saying, I couldn't stop laughing when he was like, "Oh, and when the ships go past Earth, it's like kids roll up your windows, put the screens down, like look the other way."
Because the humans are so bad.
Yeah, because there's like literally ongoing war here, and like dark ETs parasiting all of us. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to share too. I was listening to this guy in Kauai, and he was a super soldier. Elena was interviewing him, and he's the one that drew the picture of his contact with the Andromedans, because he kept friends with them. Like he knew them. He was like a guardian of Earth, like when he was a super soldier, so he was working alongside some of the Andromedans and on their ships and stuff like that, and he was explaining what they look like, the ones that he kept in touch with, and that's where he said they have the beady eyes and long straight white hair. And I was like, oh, so that Chinaman image was accurate. That Auntie gave me. I was like, that wasn't just like him trying to like not scare me and have some random human image, but like they do look like that. So I was like, okay, cool, that was accurate. And then he also said that on the ship, he was just confirming what Alex's intel was, that like they're on the ships, they have plants everywhere, and like they are obsessed with the ionization of water, like water moving. And ever since I was young, I love being around the ocean and any kind of moving water, rivers and falls and stuff like that. And right before I watched that, like a few days before, I was like, because I got this dream, like I woke up with this a word from my dream state, and it was telluric energy. Yeah. And so I was researching telluric energy and like looking at the ionization of water. And like, I'm like, oh, this is why I love it so much, because I love that feeling. And this is why I always loved surfing, because you're picking up all that energy. And it's, and then I was like, well, and it was, I couldn't stop laughing because when he said like, the Andromedans are obsessed with this, like obsessed with the ionization of water and that feeling. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. I was like, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah. And I got a message when you were starting to talk about this, that we, like humans, are now starting to learn, like there is information starting to really come out more mainstream now about the powers of water and how intelligent it is and the powers that it has and the properties and how it can remember where it's been. And yeah, just, yeah. So it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
There's so much awesomeness coming.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And like, it's like, right.
When I was younger, especially, I'd oftentimes like be walking with my hands like this. Like,
oh yeah, like T-Rex, you told me.
Yeah, like this. And then I was sitting with Huna the other night. Oh, this was a few weeks ago. And we were like looking at designing like a new control panel for like a general airplane, like a smaller airplane, because all the avionics on a smaller plane, it's pretty outdated. And like, you know, with technology these days, you could do way better and have something much cleaner. And so we were like just messing around with that. And I was like, oh, well, what I remember on the ship is that like your hands go like this, like on the controls. Like, and as soon as I did that, I was just like, holy shit, that's why I did that my whole life. It's just like, this is why, like no one else does that, like walk around like this as a kid. Like
I used to walk kind of like, I would kind of have that as well, but a little bit, but not all the time like that.
Yeah, well, it's not all the time, but like more than, you know, people noticed it. Like my sister actually nicknamed me T-Rex because I did it so much. She was like, you're weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was just like, it was just like click. I'm like, oh, that's why I did that. Like,
it's so cool how you just get the instant knowing, hey?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, what Auntie told me too. So when I communicate with him, he's really, he doesn't use many words. Like he's just like, yes, no, like very few words he explains things in. And I was going through Alex's book and it's so detailed. And I'm like, and I was asking Auntie, I'm like, why don't you give me details? Like how's Alex getting details?
Yeah.
And he goes, you know, he's like, I don't need to send you details, or I don't need to speak in terms of like words, because in speaking to you, like making this energetic connection, I am sending you holographic information through the energy connection, like through the quantum. So subconsciously I'm getting downloads and information coming in just from like small talking with him, you know, like just jib-jabbing back and forth. And then I was like, oh, so is it better than to address my higher self to gain access to these downloads? And he's like, yeah. So it's like coming in, but when I'm ready to process it, and you know, if for it to come through my conscious mind, it will come through in the time that it needs. So yeah.
I feel like you're on a set timeline, and there's like, you know, it's not 100% set, but it's charted.
Yeah.
And so you're going along your charted path, but there's twists and turns along it. So it's not exactly set out, but it's charted, and it's like you're on your path. And that's why things are flowing so well.
Well, and that's why I think I have such a strong calling to live my life like in the moment and just listen to spirit, because like I really can't. I only get so much direction up into a certain time. So it's like usually like a week before the spirit will be like, hey, do this, go do that. And I don't know why, but it makes sense later. And it's like, you know, like the passport, like, you know, with the February 3rd, the visa I got, it's like, I knew that date was important. It was the most random, like 7 months and like 3-day visa, something crazy. And you normally get 6 months as Canadians in the US. And I was like, what's up with this date? It's so like random. And I knew it was important. Spirit's like, that date's important. I was like, if something's going to happen. I'm like, okay. And then like, yeah, ends up being Huna's birthday. So it was like, it was like, okay. I was asking for a sign of where to go next. And like, I knew I need to like learn the Stargates.
Yeah.
And I got that message really strong, and then I came across a video of his, and I was like, oh, he's supposed to show me. And then it was, yeah, right before I was like, Spirit, let me know where I need to go. Like, I have to leave the US by February 3rd. And I messaged Huna, and he's like, that's my birthday. I'm like, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing like them leaving you hanging till the last minute, right?
Yeah, that's what they do. It's like, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
But everything works out. It always works out. Like everything, like it just, it's magical.
Because you're listening.
Yeah, and I keep having visions about like military. Like I'm getting like the timeline with the military is approaching really fast. Like I know I'll be, and when I was younger and I decided to go to pilot school, the first place I looked at was the military. I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but I couldn't because my vision, and I'm happy I didn't, because knowing what I know now about Canadian military, oh my God, killing innocent like women and children, no thanks.
Yeah.
But I was always picking that up, the military connection, is that there's going to be like that's going to come in at some point. So
yeah, but you won't have to train with the military. You'll be like a correspondent with them.
Yeah, that's what I get.
Yeah.
Teaching them how to, well, what I was told, it's teaching them how to shift to that feminine heart-based energy. That, so this technology is, you can only power it with a certain heart-based frequency. So, you know, if people have still wounding around their heart and stuff, like they can't tap into it.
Oh.
Yeah. Like it's, you have to be balanced in your masculine and feminine. Like, and that's why they told me that a lot of the ship pilots in the future will be female. And then the younger, they said most of them are female because like males still have to come into that balance and heal their feminine. And they also told me that, yeah, the younger, that's why you see like Devin, for example, he's like so balanced. Like the boys that are coming in now, they are such beautiful souls, and they got like solid feminine energy, like, but balanced, heart-centered. So it's like that generation's not going to have any issues. It'll be like boys and girls. But like our generation now, it's going to be mostly female pilots coming forward for a little while. Yeah, piloting these advanced technologies.
Yeah. Well, I think we're also a lot more open to our intuition as well, which you need to be.
Yeah, totally. It's like, and a lot of it's to do with remote viewing. Like, it's like that's how it connects to you, is you basically remote view the trip, like where you're going, and jump to that timeline. That's what I was told. So it's, yeah, connecting heart-based consciousness and your third eye, using your third eye connected to your heart. Yeah,
that's like a magical superpower.
It's so cool. Yeah,
us humans. Yeah,
I was just listening to this a little bit of it. Dan, I think it's Dan Winters with Elena, but Dan Winters is like a really, really intelligent physicist, and he was explaining how Stargates operate, and he was saying that the physics of a Stargate is similar to our lucid dreaming state. And but being cognitive in your lucid dream. So, you know, when you have those lucid dreams and you're like, it's kind of like a video game, you can control it. It's like that. So that's like the physics, how that occurs in our consciousness. That's how a Stargate operates. And when he said that, I got a huge hit, because I'm in that state a lot. Like when I wake up and I get messages and stuff, and I'm in that state right before I wake up a lot.
When I removed that etheric implant out of you, and you felt it when
Right,
I unclipped
yeah.
it from your spine. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just following sort of what I'm being guided to do. And you didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I unclipped it because it was like a U shape. And I unclipped it from your spine, and you had no, as I was just sitting here in silence, and you're like, oh, I just felt something. And I was like, okay, so this is really happening. There's no way you would have known what was going on.
And I always had like a block up my solar plexus, like, and that was what it was blocking the energy, like my power, my power center. That'll be another good talk to do. Like, there's just so much. Like, there's that too. I'm trying to piece together, like, in terms of the abduct, because there was the green lights that I used to see when I was really young, like a baby. Like, I remember standing up in my crib and looking out the window, and there was green flashes.
I'm getting a huge hit.
And I don't know if it was benevolent or malevolent.
I'm thinking malevolent.
Yeah, and then I remember these little grays watching me underneath the stairs. I was on a bunk bed, and I was on the lower bunk, and then the head of my bed was near the little cubby underneath the stairs. And I used to think there was like a little, like psychically I was picking up this little being, like almost like a little Jesus, because I was raised Catholic. I thought it was, that's all I could like perceive it as, consciously grasp onto, was Jesus, because the energies of, you know, the church are dark and like fear-based, and that's what I was picking up with this being. And I was scared of going under the stairs, and I could feel this being watching me. And then I would have visions of like hands coming out of the walls, like grabbing me. And when I tuned back into that, I was like, I bet that was a little gray. You know, those little minions.
I'm getting hits on all of that except the gray. So I think it was something other than a gray. But
it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good. But I don't know if it was a gray. I think it might have been something else. But I only based on the fact that I got hits all the way through you talking, except when you said gray.
We should go through Elena's book and look at the negative ETs and see if we can figure out which one it was. Upstairs.
Yeah.
And I was just about to sit down. I was just about sitting down, and my mother was right there. I was talking to her in the kitchen, and went to sit down, and literally my body started like convulsing, and that same feeling, like pressure in my ears and everything going inwards. And but this was like forceful. It was like violent. Like, it was, my parents thought I was having a seizure, and they called the ambulance and like 911. And then like I was gone for a little bit, and then it came back in, and that was a negative, because I don't think the benevolent would have done that.
No.
But I asked about it, and I think it was intercepted. Like, I think Auntie may have intercepted that, but I wish I could remember.
Because we talked about that, and I got the messages for you, and I can't remember what they were now, but if I recall correctly, I did confirm, I got the confirmation that you were taken. Like, that's pretty obvious. You were taken. It was malevolent, but you were, I'm getting the confirmation again. You were that was when they intercepted. So.
And I think when I was talking to Auntie, I think he said that they're in constant communication with the Alliance ships. So I think they had relayed it to the Alliance, and the Alliance did the rescue or something like that.
I'm not sure. I'm not getting any hits or anything like that. But
yeah, like I would love to do some more regression work, or like I just want to be able to remember exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, like Elena, it'll come at the right time, because she hit a certain point, and then she was able to get her memories back.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess you'll just know, like you'll just get those intuitive messages of knowing what exactly happened. But when you say intercepted, it was intercepted, that resonates a lot. But maybe that was when they got me with the implants, but I feel like I had those implants when I was really young. Yeah.
I know something was done with implants when you were taken that day on the stairs. I know something was done, and that's why you were having those convulsions and stuff, because something major was done to you.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, so that was maybe when they did the C-shaped clip.
Yeah, I think
I wonder if there was other ones.
Yeah, I'm hearing one like up at the back, at the base of your neck there somewhere.
Yes. Okay, that's interesting, because the only place I get pain is actually, I just got, yeah, you just confirmed that for me because it's still there. Yeah. Because I get a lot of tension there. Like I was trying in yoga, I was trying to do this, like put my head back, and it was so tense there that I couldn't put it back. Like, so something's blocking the energy field there. Especially recently, it's I think my energy field's trying to push it out, because it's the only place in my body where I have like tension.
Well, let's see if we can do something about that soon.
Let's I think you're right. I think you're bang on.
I'm just sharing messages.
Auntie told me you're just like or it was maybe my higher self, but it was saying that you're just like that woman that removed Elena's implants on the ship, or retuned her implant. I forget her name now, but you did that type of work.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, yeah, considering that you felt me move that C-clip thing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's validation. If there's ever a thing of validation, that's what.
Right.
There's no denying that actually happened, because there's no way you could have known what I was doing in silence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should. It would be good.
Or anything.
We should draw, like, you should try to draw it out, and we can like put sketches up, and like this is one of the, like, it's just, I think this kind of stuff is so important to talk about, like, because you know people have these things and they have no idea.
Yeah.
It's really like, you know, it's like, yeah, definitely, yeah, that was a huge one for me. Like, yeah, I couldn't really step into my power like with that there. It was fully blocking me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel this like somebody taking your solar plexus and squeezing it. Like that's what it felt like.
Well, it was squeezing your spine. It was clamped right on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's right, because I went in through your front of your solar plexus, and I reached in and took it out that way.